Hey guys, welcome to It's a Bronx Story.
A podcast by two lifelong Yankee fans about all things Yankees.
All right, so we're recording this the night of the Orioles series ending. We followed our sweep of the Guardians up with the sweep of the Orioles. I mean, the team is doing just about everything you could ask of them right now. They're sweeping the teams that they should be. They swept the Guardians, which Jatinder and I talked about that before that series. That like 2 out of 3 would have been good.
Hmm.
We weren't expecting a sweep, but they did it, and then they swept the Orioles finally. The offense has woken up. The pitching has still been good. Obviously, the Orioles have scored a decent amount of runs, but we'll
Hmm.
talk about how a, a little chunk of those were kind of just like garbage time runs that the Yankees just kind of gave. Or like they
Yeah.
didn't give it their all to stop the Orioles and like shut them down completely. But it doesn't matter. It's three W's in the win column.
6 in a row.
Yeah, 6 in a row. 8 of our last 9. We've scored 10 plus runs in 3 of the last 4. We get to follow this series up with the Royals. So that should be at least another 2 out of 3. I want
Hmm.
it to be a sweep, but 3
Yeah.
sweeps in a row is a lot to ask for out of a baseball team. No matter how bad the teams are, it's baseball.
Hmm.
Susan's favorite phrase, it's baseball. Or wait,
That's baseball.
that's baseball for you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it'd be awesome to get another sweep, and we'll preview
Mhm.
that series at the end of this. And we also just wanted to touch on the video came out about Miles Straw, so we know what he said now. Spoiler alert: it doesn't really change what we said before,
Hmm.
um, and there's definitely a lot of context missing in that video. It starts pretty
Yeah.
late into the
Yeah.
process, but we'll touch on it. We wanted to talk about the whole Nolan Arenado and the Mets situation that happened, I guess. And I also want to touch on the last inning of the blow up for the Cardinals and the 2 games
Oh yeah.
prior to that, because that
Hmm.
was something you don't see very often. And
Yeah.
then you mentioned another thing that you wanted to talk about that I'm blanking on
So
now.
it's a big day. I'm not talking about the NFL draft. It's Acuna Day.
Oh,
He's
right,
here.
right.
He's
I
back.
forgot the draft was tonight. I
Yeah.
don't really care about football, so uh,
I like football, but not as much as baseball. Clearly.
yeah, like I like football, but I don't care enough to like be
Hmm.
super into the draft and everything.
Yeah.
The MLB
Yeah.
draft though, I do like to watch the MLB draft. Now that
Hmm.
they moved it to All Star Weekend, that was a
Yeah,
an
I think
amazing
that's really
move.
smart. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a good move on their part.
yeah. All right, so I guess we can hop right into the first
Orioles
game of the
series.
series. Yeah, uh, Yankees took care of business. I
So
mean, there's one story of this game really. I guess there's two, but there's one main story, and I'll let you
so yeah,
go.
so we started the game with Severino on the bump, and he looked fantastic for the
Yeah,
first 6 innings. He was throwing a no hitter, and everything was clicking.
mm-hmm.
And it was also Judge's birthday that day, right? April
Yep,
26th.
yep.
So those were so it was his birthday, so the Yankees wanted to celebrate with a win, and Sevy tried his hardest to make it extra special. Started 6 no-hit innings.
Perfect. He had well 5. He had 5 perfect innings, and
Hmm.
then in the sixth inning, he hung a slider that Santander hit for a 3 run home run, and
Yeah.
that kind of soiled the entire outing that he had. I mean, it sucks because he looked so good and made
Hmm.
one bad mistake, and it was a home
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough, and I believe he was responsible for the run that scored in the 7th inning as well. So he
Yeah.
goes from 5 perfect innings to 6 runs, 4 earned, off of 3 hits. Like
Yeah.
it just an unfortunate end to a great start for him. But he looked good, which is all that really matters. Like sometimes you're gonna get clipped for a home
Hmm.
run. It's just that's baseball. It's that can happen.
Yeah.
Um, but on the offensive side, our one of our two Italians, one of the two of the Italian duo, Anthony Rizzo, has been unreal to start the season and didn't slow down at all for this game.
Yeah. So in the third, he got the scoring started with a 2-run home run. So that was real nice. hit a short porch home run, but it's a home run.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, Judge also hit a home run on his birthday. That was real good. And then Rizzo just didn't stop. Just hit. It was a 3 home run game for him. Now leads the majors in home runs with 8.
Yeah, and his first home run was a classic porch job. Barely got
Mm-hmm.
out. Was only
Mm-hmm.
out at Yankee Stadium. His second home run would have been out in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And his third home run was really interesting because it everyone thought it was going to be foul. Rizzo thought it was going to be foul,
Mm-hmm.
and at the very end, it kind of tailed back in and
Yeah.
got around the pole and just barely got out. And Rizzo was like, "Okay, like it's just
Yeah.
that kind of night for him." And
Yeah.
we're seeing this year. Rizzo said he did a lot of work in the offseason to stop pulling so many home runs foul, and
Mm-hmm.
so far this year, it's definitely worked for him because he has 8 home
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah. I
And
think I think so. There was 3 things of note that I took away from this game. Obviously, Rizzo, Severino, and then our bullpen kind of had a mini meltdown there. Loizaga, Lukey kind of got into trouble, but he allowed 1 run, and then they brought in Loizaga, and he gave up a 3-run home run. So only one was charged to Loizaga on the home run,
mhm.
but it was kind of like you expect him to come in and do his job, like keep the runners stranded. And I think it was the first hitter he gave up a home run to as soon as he came in.
Yeah, it sounds right. And then he got the last out of the inning. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Wise guy like looked really good in spring, and
Mm-hmm.
has looked really good in certain outings this year. And then other
Mm-hmm.
ones, it's just like his command isn't quite there,
Yeah.
so his pitches kind of just leak out over the middle of the plate, and he gets punished for it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not worried yet. I mean, if we're halfway through the season, he's still inconsistent. It's
Yeah.
then it becomes worrying. But while it's still cold and all of that stuff, I'm not super worried about it. It sucks. Like it's not ideal, but
Mm-hmm.
he earned the right to have a pretty like a decent leash after last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Yeah.
still
He
giving
was.
Chad Green a leash after his 2017 year, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. It wasn't the best. I think he's still working through some stuff, but
yeah.
when he's on, he has filthy stuff. So I think sooner or later he'll figure it out. I think
Yeah.
it's just some growing pains to start the year, and it hasn't really been affecting the Yankees. And I think that's the main thing. Right now, we have the best record in the AL, first in the division. So that's all I want.
Yeah, and Clay Holmes and Chapman both did their thing. Clay Holmes had a really good outing. Chapman gave up
Mm-hmm.
2 walks, but also had 2 strikeouts. Didn't give up any hits or runs, so that's an improvement for a lot of the stuff we've seen from him. He still has his
Mm-hmm.
ERA on the season, which is just
Mm-hmm.
wild. But let's not forget Joey Gallo hit a home run in this game,
Yeah.
and it was an opposite field laser beam that it was just great to see. Everyone knows how rough his start of the year has been. If he can get on a hot streak, that'll do so much for his confidence, let alone this offense. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
your 7 hitter is hitting tanks like every
Yeah.
game, then it's kind of tough to do anything against this team because then you got Kiner Falefa behind him that's just some way or another just figures out how to get a hit. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not he's not doing a ton of damage in terms of home runs and doubles and extra base hits, but those singles pile up and that's sometimes all you really need in a situation, especially that far
Mm-hmm.
down the order, just keep the ball rolling. That's exactly what he's done. Higgy still sucks this year.
Yeah.
He's batting 111 with a 293 OPS. Like IKF has a higher batting average than Higgy does OPS. So
Yeah, it seems like Trevino's kind of taking over that starting job.
yeah,
They I think they have equal defense, so it's not like you're like, oh
I
man, now we have to
and
put Trevino. I think Trevino has better defense,
yeah,
but
I definitely think he's a better framer. We really
mhm,
haven't had to see. Like I don't know if it was just Gary was actually that bad at defense, but we really
mhm.
haven't had many passed balls or wild pitches this year. Like
We've
I've
had a couple, but yeah, it was, and it's also it seemed when we had wild pitches, it came at the worst possible moment.
yeah
It'll be like runner at third, up by a run, and like, oh, okay, that's a tying run, cool, great.
And
You know.
it's also like I feel like our pitchers have been better this year, but at the same time, with Gary last year, there would be balls that Higgy is stopping or Trevino is stopping that would
Hmm.
have gotten by Gary for a wild pitch,
Hmm.
but they're at least getting in front of it, and it's been nice. But Trevino's so good at framing. Like Higgy's good at it, but Trevino, it's just fun to watch.
The Yankees defense as a whole, like that was kind of their mindset, like they wanted to improve their defense, and the Yankees had the fewest errors so far to start the year. I'm
They've
pretty
had
sure.
12 games without an error. I
Yeah,
don't. I doubt they went on a stretch like that at all last year.
I don't think so. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure Glaber probably threw an error at some point if in a 12 game stretch. But
yeah.
yeah,
Gary
it's
and
really
Glaber.
good defense. Yeah, it's really good defense. I think that really does help the pitchers. That's something in our Yankee preview that we said. It's just like having an improved defense helps the pitchers out. Like you're going to be saving some runs throughout the year, get them out of like stressful situations just because like you said, pass balls is like now there's a runner in scoring position. Like it's still you're still throwing the same amount of pitches, but it's more stressful pitches. So
Yeah, and Glaber, like after he had that like kind of weird stuff in Baltimore, but after
mhm.
that, every game he's played at second base since then, it's been like no complaints.
Yeah,
Like he looks
yeah,
good at second base. He's not. I'm not saying he's a good defender at second base. He just looks like I'm not cringing every time the ball's hit to him.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like at
like kind of like
shortstop,
how
it's
you
like
was at
what's about
shortstop.
to
Yeah,
happen.
hmm
And now
yeah,
IKF at the beginning of the season he was kind of rough, but now it's like if it's hit to him, I'm like, all right, yep, we're gonna get an out somehow. Like
hmm
he's not
kind
gonna
of.
mess this up.
It's kind of similar to Didi when he first came in. Like he had a rough stretch. You know, he
Hmm.
wasn't. He came in with the idea that he would be a defensive shortstop, and he
Yeah,
was making those errors, and you were just like, okay, this guy sucks, and
and
he
he wasn't
couldn't hit
hitting.
at
Yeah,
all. Yeah, but his calling card was his defense. So it's
yeah,
like you can't even do that right then.
yeah. I mean, IKF has been awesome. The Hawaiian
Hmm.
hustle, like
Hmm.
he's just so fun to watch play because he's not. If he was like our third hitter or like our
Hmm.
leadoff guy or something, he'd be a lot worse. But the
Hmm.
fact that we can just stash him in the 8 hole and
Hmm.
like all he has to do is get singles. Like
Yeah.
I don't if as long as he's not striking out all the time and like hitting into double plays, I
Hmm.
don't really care. So if he can hit around 300, like that's a huge win out of your 8
Yeah.
hole.
Actually, in this game, it was an IKF. Well, he did have a single, but uh, Glaber, took what was given to him, got a triple, got 3 RBIs, cleared the bases,
Hmm.
and it was really nice to see. That's
Yeah.
kind of the approach that I want the Yankees to have. It's just like just get on base, just kind of take a hit. Like we don't need you to, hit a home run every single
Yeah.
time. Just get on base, get a single, trying to put pressure on the defense, and do that, and that's how you win.
Yeah, and like players like Judge, Rizzo, Stanton, Donaldson, those are your
Hmm.
home run hitters. Those are the guys
Hmm.
that they don't need to go home run or nothing. They'll
Hmm.
just hit home runs because of how hard they hit the ball
Yeah,
and how
exactly.
good of a hitter they are. But like
Hmm.
literally everyone else, DJ, Glaber, Gallo, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, like our catchers, like they just need to, and Hicks when he's playing, just go with whatever they give you. Just get on base. I
Hmm.
mean, Gallo is a home runner, nothing guy to the maximum extent of possibilities, but like, I, I mean, yeah, I guess Gallo, but he's our 7 hitter. So like, if there's gonna be a guy that's home run or nothing all the way, like I'm fine with it being our 7 hitter. He's not killing a
Hmm.
rally every single time he comes up to bat as if he was our 4 hitter. And
Hmm. Yeah.
Stanton is not a home run or nothing guy. I don't care. Like people that don't watch baseball and like sometimes watch Stanton might think that, but like he gets a
Hmm.
lot of singles and doubles just because he just
Yeah.
hits 115-mile-an-hour single or like grounders up the middle that are impossible to
Yeah.
field.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, so it was a fun game offensively. Like you said, that Glaber triple, bases clearing triple was awesome. That's a vintage
Mhm.
Glaber right there, just smoking line drives in the gap. Judge with another birthday home run. He hit one in 2017 on his birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and Rizzo with 3 home runs.
Yeah.
I
I
I
really
love
think the
Rizzo.
only down part in that game was just Loizaga. You know,
Hmm.
we thought we had a lead. You thought we could just turn it to Loizaga. Could have been a potential save situation just because he came in with runners on base. Actually, I don't think it would be a safe situation because we were up by 5 runs at that point. But he came in. You figured he would just shut it down and then he'll just take the ninth and just it'll be a cakewalk. But he did get into some trouble. But we won the game 12-8. That's all you want.
Hmm. Yeah, I not really any huge complaints that game. Like you said, it would
Mm-hmm.
have been nice to see the Wise go shut it down, but we still won 12-8. We scored 12 runs, which is more runs than we scored in the entire series combined for the last time we faced the Orioles. So that's cool. Also,
Yeah.
I don't know how many home games the Orioles have played, but they've only had 3 home runs. Like
What?
the Orioles ballpark this year has only given up 3 home runs.
That's insane. But between both teams,
Yes.
that's insane.
Like
I think they
they
yeah,
overdid it.
yeah. I was going to say I think they was like we don't want any more home runs. It was like we I don't think they meant no home runs.
Yeah. I mean, like that left field is just it's ridiculous.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't like I don't know. I want to know when the first person. I want to see the first home run that's hit over that wall. It has to be a
Hmm.
righty. I
Yeah.
refuse to believe there's going to be a single lefty this entire year that hits a home run over that wall.
No.
That's
No. I,
nuts to go opposite field with that much power.
yeah. It's also a high fence too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you could just get a screamer and it just so happens like it. You need to hit it really hard and it's gonna be tough. I don't imagine someone hitting a home run, a lefty hitting a home run.
I'm trying to look it up to see if you want to take the beginning breakdown of game
Yeah,
two. I'm trying to look up the
yeah.
amount of home
So
runs.
in game two we had Monty pitching and Judge Stanton hits a 2-run home run for his 350th home run. That's something that's a big milestone. He was the seventh quickest hitter to hit 350, and that kind of got me thinking. Like, I think he's for sure going to get 500 home runs, right? Like that's
He's
no,
32, right?
yeah,
He's got a good 8 years left in him. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what 20 home runs a season, less than 20 home
Hmm.
runs a season. There's no way he's not going to get it
The
unless he
only
gets like
thing
a
is
career-ending injury.
yeah, the only thing is health.
Yeah,
But I can't imagine he won't hit 500, and I think he could challenge 600 home runs.
yeah. So 250 if he plays 8 seasons. Math, that's like 31 ish, 30 to 35 home runs a year, which Stanton can definitely do if he stays healthy. I
Hmm.
think if he has 8 mostly healthy seasons, he can get 600. It's
Hmm.
just if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I was just thinking just 5 seasons of like unbelievable hitting, and then the
That's
rest kind of tails off.
oh okay, yeah. Because if he gets like 5 seasons of 40 plus
Hmm.
40 to 50 home runs a year, then yeah, I think he can definitely
Yeah.
get to 600.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so ballpark home run count. The Yankees, 36 at Yankee Stadium. The only other one above 30 is Angels Stadium.
Yeah.
And then Baltimore's 3 home runs.
Same.
5 at the Coliseum, 7 in Cleveland, 9 at Kauffman. I need to see. I'm looking up really quick how many home games they've had.
Okay.
One, two,
So
three,
there
four.
was another uh, in the third inning. Monty gave up a double to Jorge Mateo, and he's been stealing like crazy this year. But he makes
Mhm.
a really bad gaff, just like trying to steal third, and Monty picks him off. But
Mhm.
it was a bad pickoff. Like they knew he was going. Like they could telegraph it. The way
Yeah.
that he was like moving, like you could see him moving. Like you could see the wheels turning. You're like, oh, he's going to third. Let me try to throw behind him. And sure enough, he was going, and they just picked him off. Just I I guess I like the aggressiveness for the Orioles. You're trying to make things happen, but I think that was the first out too. You can't do
Yeah, it
that.
was first or second, and like also Monty had him picked off earlier in the inning,
Hmm.
and just like spiked the ball so they didn't get him. So like Mateo should have been aware about the fact that Monty's clearly trying to
Hmm.
get him, and
Hmm.
still got picked off.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And it
but
was the first out. I'm looking. It was the first out. You just can't. You already have a guy in scoring position. The saying is, don't make the first or last out at third, and he made the first out at third.
technically second, but oh yeah, I mean pickle, but yeah, and I looked it up. The Orioles have only played 6 home games, so a home run every 2 games, which compared to last year is probably
There was
wildly
probably like
low.
2 home runs a game
Yeah.
at least
Um. So yeah,
by the
I
opponent
hate
too.
I hate the changes that they made, but
Mm,
yeah, back to this game. I mean Monty, good outing again, kind of like Sevy's, a home run to Santander
mm-hmm.
turned a great outing into just a good one. 2 earned runs, 5.2 innings pitched, four
So
strikeouts, four
is
hits.
Santander turning into another Yankee killer? We got
Yep.
rid of 2 Yankee killers in the off season, and right before us, we're seeing another one kind of develop because it seems like every time Santander is hitting a home run in a really crucial situation.
Yeah, it's annoying. I don't know why there are just certain players that hit so well against certain teams,
Mm-hmm.
but he's one of them, and it's annoying. And then yet again, once Monty came out of the game, he was losing. He gave up 2 runs, and he
Mm-hmm.
was losing. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with this team and not scoring when Jordan Montgomery is pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Like it happened a lot this year that they didn't score no matter who was pitching, but last year it
Yeah.
was just brutal.
Mm, yeah.
He had like the least run support for basically any starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm. It's real tough. He was always pitching in close games, and that has to also wear on a pitcher. You're like, I have to be perfect because if I
And
give up a run, that could be ball
yeah,
game.
and I remember I feel like I vividly remember a start that he had in I want to say it was Oakland last year that he gave up literally 1 run in like 6 or 7 innings, and after he gave up that run, he went into the dugout and like slammed his glove and was like
Mm-hmm.
pissed off. And like,
Mm-hmm.
if your starter pitches that good of a game, he should not be upset.
Yeah,
Like,
I do remember that, and I think you said the same thing as it happened. You
yeah,
was like, you can't be pissed. Like if you're doing that to your pitcher, like that has to wear on
yeah,
you, and that's like it's not just one game; it's a accumulation of them just not scoring. So
yeah,
it's just built up frustration.
and like it's yeah. I want to start scoring for him because Monty giving up less than 3 runs and pitching over 5 innings is a
Mm-hmm.
win every single day of the week because he's our third or fourth starter. Like
Mm-hmm.
right now, he's our fourth because Nestor is better, but like
Yeah.
rotation wise, he's right now penciled as our third.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you're getting a 3 ERA from your third starter, like a 3.35, like that's a huge win.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yep.
top tier third starter level quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the fact that he barely wins games is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But bouncing off that, King comes in relief. I King is the new Loizaga of this year, the guy that comes out of the bullpen
Mm-hmm.
and just destroys every expectation possible. Didn't
Yeah.
have 80 million strikeouts today, but he gave or that game, but he
Mm-hmm.
gave up 1 hit and one
Yeah.
walk in 2 1/3 innings. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's got a
Just
.69 ERA this season and a
nice.
4.20 for his career, which is just that he's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and Clay Holmes came in and
Closed
shut
it
it
out.
down.
So it wasn't anything. There was no worries about Chapman or anything. It was just that he pitched a couple games in a row, so
Mm,
give him a day off. So, like we said, the Yankees bullpen is pretty stacked, so it's kind of just like just pick any of them and they could
yeah,
close. We have a bunch of closers, and that's kind of really nice to have just in your bullpen. Like you don't have to worry about having like a guy. Like we said this last episode, but we don't have another guy where you're just like, oh, this guy's pitching like he's
yeah.
gonna blow it. Like I feel good about a lot of our pitchers.
Yeah, I also forgot that Stanton's home run was in the first inning, so we were tied when Monty came out of the game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then we did take the lead the next inning
But it
off
was
of
after King came in to get out of that inning.
yeah, and that was a Stanton sack liner. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
say it was a sack fly because he hit the ball on the screws. It was just right
Hmm.
at someone.
Hmm.
So that takes us 3-2, and then Gallo for the second day in a row hits another home run,
Yeah.
2-run shot, puts us up 5-2, and we ended it out there.
Yeah.
So we won the series. I think everyone expected a pretty much full punt day considering it was a getaway day against the Orioles. But we got the lineup today, and I
Hmm.
mean we played Marwin Gonzalez and who was the other? Why am I blanking on? Oh, the Castro
It,
started.
yeah.
Yeah. So Stanton DH today, which I think everyone in planet Earth expected that to happen unless they gave Stanton the day off and DH
Hmm.
Judge. I thought Stanton or Judge would get the day off.
Hmm.
Um,
That's I also thought the same thing because we won the series, so that's kind of our thing. Was like if you're gonna rush the guy, let them win the series first.
yeah.
And the Yankees seem to like to do that, giving their guys days off like that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was kind of shocked that we had, for the most part, our A lineup.
Yeah, our 1 through 5 is the same it's been for the last almost the last 6 games. I think we sat
Hmm.
Donaldson once in that
Hmm.
span. But actually, did we? He might have just DH'd.
I think he did DH. I don't think
I
I
don't.
remember
I
him
think our
being out of the
one through
lineup.
five has been the same for the past 6 games.
Yeah.
And then we played Gallo. We didn't play. Uh, we didn't play Kiner Falefa. That's like the only main player that we didn't play. Like
Mhm.
Glaber, you could make the argument that Glaber could have played, I guess, but like
I mean,
not really.
it makes sense to put Stanton at DH, and you don't
Yeah,
have Hicks. He's
yeah,
We also didn't play Andujar, which is kind of
yeah. I'm
you know
upset that he didn't get a chance to play. I wanted to see what he
yeah, just to
had.
see something, right?
I was hoping they at least DH him for like Marwin Gonzalez and just. But I think they just
Hmm.
wanted to give IKF the full day off,
Yeah.
which I'm not mad at. He's had like 2 days off this year. That's
Hmm.
has Judge. I think Judge has only had one.
Yeah. Yeah.
DJ. I
Has
don't know
he
if
gotten
DJ's
on base
had it.
every single game, Judge? I'm pretty sure. If not, it's been you know.
I don't think every game, but I mean he's batting 296 with a 944 OPS, so
Mhm.
he's doing fine.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to hit home runs.
Hmm.
Mentioned in this game. Uh,
Quietly getting his average and OPS above. Well, actually, no, he's hitting at that point, he was hitting 296, but got his OPS above 900.
Yeah, now he's at Judge numbers. Like 296,
Hmm.
944 is like a season that you could see Judge having.
Hmm.
Like that's a really good season, but that's Aaron Judge.
And
So
I still don't think he's gotten hot yet, right?
I
Like, I
think he's
think,
hot right now.
you think
He's
so?
hit. I mean, he
I
had
know he
two
had
home
the
runs
two
in
homer game.
Cleveland. He
I
hit
know he
two
had the
home
two
runs
home.
this series.
I don't know. I think I'm just waiting for, I think he has another notch, another
He's hit
notch.
4 home runs in the last like
I don't
six
know.
games, and
I
he's
think,
hitting rocket doubles. I mean I guess, but he would have had a grand slam, but they had a wild pitch that scored a
wild
run.
pitch.
So that's
Hmm.
I mean we still scored 4 runs as a team, but I would have liked to see Judge get a grand slam.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't really think you can make the argument that they would have pitched him differently because they had a base open and he had a 3 run home run. If they didn't have a base open, they have to throw him even better
Hmm.
pitches. So it would have been a grand slam, and that would have been super cool. But
Hmm.
oh well, he had a 3 run home run. Rizzo had a double this game. DJ had a double. Marvin Gonzalez had a double.
Tyone was shaky though, to start the game and just throughout the game, he was just shaky. We were down 2-0,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we have our offense, but it kind of felt like bad, just because it could have been a lot worse. We could have been down more than just 2 runs. Like I guess
Yeah,
Tyone settled down to make sure it didn't get away from us, but and when you leave the game, it you're down by 2. You feel confident that our bullpen and offense can get you out of that hole. So I guess in the end, he didn't, blow up, and I guess that's a positive. But he just didn't look sharp.
Yeah, it took a while for our
Mm-hmm.
offense to get going this game. Tyone had like a Sevy Detroit kind of outing where he
Mm-hmm.
gave up 7 hits but only 2 runs. He
Mm-hmm.
had a few key moments where he kind of shut the door and didn't allow things to get out of hand. So that was
Mm-hmm.
good to see. You're not going to have your A stuff every time. You're not going to give up 0 runs every time. But he pitched
Mm-hmm.
4 2/3, only gave up 2 runs. We'll take that. Miguel Castro
Mm-hmm.
came in to close out the fifth and did his thing. He gave
Mm-hmm.
up a hit and a walk. It got kind of dicey, but he got out of it. Wandy Peralta pitched, didn't give up any runs. Loizaga looked good today.
Yeah.
Loizaga looked like
He
Loizaga today.
the 3 strikeouts. He looked real good. I
Yeah,
was kind of when they brought him in. They brought him in the 6th, and that was kind of, you know, you're trying to see that. uh, got out of a jam, and then got 3 strikeouts. And I was kind of looking to see just how he performs just after giving up that 3-run home run the
yeah,
last game he pitched. So just I wanted to see some development, and we
yeah,
did. He looked really good.
yeah. And then Chad Green looked like the good Chad Green today, so that was super
Mm-hmm.
cool. And before we get into Marinaccio, we'll talk about the offense. And the bottom of the fifth inning was quite possibly one of the worst defensive innings I've ever seen
Oh,
by a team, specifically by
yeah.
a player. This is probably what it was like in that White Sox game where Tim Anderson had 80 million errors in like 1 inning. But
Yeah.
Jorge Mateo just, it was just brutal. Like he was just booting balls, couldn't pick them up, like all of these issues. And the Yankees finally, like teams do against us, every time we give them free outs, we scored
Mm-hmm.
4 runs in that inning, and when we
Yep.
literally should have gone down 1, 2, 3.
Yep. Yep.
So they gave us free outs, we made them pay for it, scored 4 runs, and then didn't look
That's what
back.
you have to do, though. When you
Yeah,
get free outs, you have to capitalize on them. You have to cash them in, and the Yankees did that. It sucks for the pitcher. The Orioles pitcher Zimmerman. You're like, come on, man. Like I did my job. My
yeah,
defense is letting me down, but I'll take it. Yankees scored 4 runs, take the lead for the first time. It's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, Zimmerman's line of 4.1 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 4 runs, 0 earned. Like
Yeah.
his ERA still looks good. So at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
you'll forget that he had an outing where they gave up 4 runs
Mm-hmm.
on errors. But
Yeah.
and then they tacked on a few more runs. I'm pretty sure on another error for one of them.
Yep.
But then
Yep.
the bottom of the eighth, that Judge 3 run home run was it
Mm-hmm.
kind of put it away. We're up 10-2. Then they
Mm-hmm.
put in Marinaccio, which we saw last time in the Guardians series, in the same situation where we were up a
Mm-hmm. The
ton
mop up.
going for the sweep, just put him into mop up and he gave up a few
Mm-hmm.
runs. I mean,
Yeah.
his stuff looks decent, but his command just isn't there. And then he gets into bad counts and he kind of just throws it right down the middle and people can hit it. Like you're a major
Yeah.
league pitcher, you can hit it when you
That's
throw it right down the middle.
and I think that's the difference is that his command kind of gets away from him, and you could probably get away with that in the minors. You just have a really good fastball, you could just blow it by
Yeah.
guys, but in the major, it's like that's the difference between minor leaguers and major leaguers. They're gonna get to it.
Yeah.
Fastball down the middle, they're gonna get to it.
Yeah, and for a reliever, his stuff is gross. So like, he definitely
Mm-hmm.
has a future in the MLB. He just needs to work on
Mm-hmm.
his control and get a little bit more comfortable. And I'm sure we'll see him again. He got sent down right after the game,
Yeah.
which I think most people expected. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got into some games. He got some MLB experience, and now he gets to go work on what he needs to work on. But we closed out the sweep, 2 sweeps in a row, going for a third. Just not a whole lot to complain about this series. We got
Yeah,
done
I
finally.
think it could have been, going when we previewed it, we were just like, I'm going to include the Guardians, even though we talked about it before, but, we were just like, probably going to go 4-2, 5-1. If we could get a sweep for both series, I would be ecstatic. And we
Yeah,
did it. So I'm really happy. We're first, like I said to start the episode, but we're first in the American League, best record in the AL. So was our kind of doom and gloom? A couple weeks ago when we lost the series to Orioles. Do you kind of feel bad about that, or do you still, you know, think about
I
that
mean,
series?
I don't necessarily know about feel bad because that's literally what we went through all last
Hmm.
year. So it's not crazy to think that it's just going to happen again. But at the
Hmm.
same time, we were still some of the more confident Yankees fans about it. We weren't saying like,
Hmm.
"Oh, the season's over, like this team
Hmm.
sucks." We were like, it's starting to look like last year again, and that would
Hmm.
be horrible. But now, as the weather's heating up, I think we're seeing. Obviously, I don't
Yeah.
think this team is going to score 10 runs through out of their 4 games every single time,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we were begging for 5 run games before, and we scored
Yeah.
over 5 runs every game this
Hmm.
series, or five or over,
Yep.
and 10 2 of them. Like, I I think this is a good offense. I don't
Hmm.
think it's a top five offense necessarily,
Hmm.
because there are a lot of really good offenses out there. Like, they could, it
Yeah.
wouldn't shock me if we finished top five, but I think they're definitely top 10, leaning more
Hmm.
towards like the 9 through 6
Hmm.
area more than the 5 through
Yeah, I
3.
think we're in the next tier of it. I don't
Yeah.
think you look at the Yankees lineup like if everyone's hot and everything, you're like, okay, this is a scary lineup. But I don't think you're like, oh man, like I think there's a lot more teams that I'm scared of. I'm like, man, look at that offense. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of holes in our lineup,
Hmm.
but you take it because they play really good defense, and that helps you throughout the long season.
Yeah. And what I was gonna say is I think our pitching and defense is top 5 in the league.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think there's not many. I literally think the Dodgers are the only team in the league that I could confidently say I think their offense and pitching is probably both in the top 5.
Hmm.
Blue Jays are probably a top 5 offense. Like, the Blue Jays are us but flipped. I think
Hmm.
they're a top 5 offense, but they're kind of more in that 9 through 6
Hmm.
pitching if their pitching works. Like,
Yeah.
their 4 and 5 starters are very up in the air. Like, Kikuchi and
Hmm.
Ryu could just be
Yeah.
duds, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Manoa, Gosman, and Barrios are going to have pretty good years. They're going to be a pretty
Hmm.
good 1 through 3, and the back end of their bullpen is pretty
I think
good.
it was more it was potential. I mean, I Ryu's hurt right now, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But like he does look, if you've seen the games, like just the second half, terrible
Yeah,
last year, and then this year not off to a great start. He's injured now. I think personally, I think he's cooked.
yeah,
I don't
I do
think he
too.
he has it anymore. And then Kikuchi, they signed him with a lot. They were thinking maybe we could turn him into the next Robbie Ray because like his pitch mix is similar to Robbie Ray, and you're like, we just fixed this guy. Maybe we could do it with
I'm
Kikuchi.
I
I don't believe that.
I also don't think they're at all similar. Like, Robbie Ray has
He had a
gold
lot more.
on
Like
his
he,
BB
I've seen
ref
him
for a
do it
reason.
before.
But like, Robbie Ray has gold for K per 9 for a reason. Like, he's always been
Hmm.
able to strike out a ton of people. He
Hmm.
just couldn't command anything.
Yeah.
Kikuchi, like, he's never been a huge strikeout guy. He's more of Tanaka than he is Robbie Ray, and he looked horrible after the sticky ban last year.
Hmm. Yeah.
And like, I don't feel very confident about the fact that he's going to be a good pitcher. I think
Yeah.
he's going to be a mid 4 pitcher.
Yeah.
Um, and our every one of our starting pitchers, I think, is better than him, and he's their 4.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yep.
I also think 3 of our starting pitchers are better than Barrios. So
Hmm.
that's me personally. Now, Nestor could significantly decline. Like, I don't know
Hmm.
what's going to happen with Nestor, but I'm very confident that Sevy and Cole are going to be 2 aces this year if Sevy stays healthy.
Yep.
Like,
So with that said, next series we have our three aces. Aces are wild in the next series against the Royals.
I
So
if we lose, like,
yeah.
I can see us losing a game because our offense might go cold, but we should
Hmm.
easily win this series. Like, the Royals
Hmm.
should be scoring. If this Royals score more than 10 runs this series, I will
Hmm.
be upset.
Yeah. I think also though the pitchers that the Royals are putting out there, they're not the best too, and we're putting
Yeah.
our best pitchers. So we should sweep this series. We really should. I know you want to be hesitant about that, but we really should.
Yeah.
I don't I don't expect them to sweep them, but they should sweep them.
Yeah. The expectation should be win the series.
Mm-hmm.
The like if the team plays well, it's an easy sweep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to expect the offense to be firing on all cylinders like every single game for 9 games straight. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna have down days, but like at the same time, the Royals pitching, especially the ones we're facing, isn't that
Mm-hmm.
good. Their bullpen's not that great. Their offense isn't that good. Like they have
Mm-hmm.
a few guys. Whit Merrifield's been awful this year.
Oh, he's the worst hitter in the league, I think.
Bobby Witt hasn't been great.
He hasn't, yeah.
Salvador Perez, I think, has been
He hits
okay,
home runs. He
but
hits home runs, but he's been going through some cold stretches. Mondesi just news just broke that he's
mm-hmm.
out for the year, torn ACL, the same injury that Acuna's returning from. So,
Yeah. Oh, Benintendi. I forgot
oh,
about him.
Benintendi,
He's
yeah,
been good. I
yeah,
mean, he's hitting 393 with a 925 OPS. I expect him to hit like 3 home runs this series because
he is
it's
a
a former
Yankee
Red
killer.
Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Whit Merrifield is hitting 127 with a 315 OPS.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's not a
Like,
lot of guys that I fear in the Royals lineup outside of Salvador Perez, just because
yeah.
he could knock it out of the ballpark. I know they have Carlos Santana, but he's also really, really bad. Uh,
Yeah.
who else is out there? That's Bobby Witt,
I
but
mean,
he's
Nicky
struggling.
Lopez, he's fast.
He's not a power guy. He's not a
Yeah.
guy that I like.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a guy on base and you're like, oh, he's a real pesky hitter, but he's not someone that I fear.
Yeah. Yeah. So we should sweep. This is another opportunity for Garrett Cole to prove himself. Like, you should
Mm-hmm.
shut down this lineup too. If he
Mm-hmm.
gives up 3 or more runs, it's a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he pitches 8 innings, if he gives up 3 runs to this lineup, that's a failure.
Yeah.
Like, he should be giving up 1 or less. 2 is
Mm-hmm.
okay. 3 is just not what
Yeah.
he should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Sevy, I'm gonna say the same for Sevy. Nestor, I just don't. I love Nestor, and I
Mm-hmm.
just don't know. I start to
No,
start. I'm like,
you're
this is
all
gonna
you're
be
all
the
in,
one.
Ryan. You have the shirt. You have to be all in.
I like every start. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be the one. Like, he's fine.
Yeah.
They're finally gonna hit him, and then he's just like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut them down yet again, and
Yep.
it's so confusing. But yeah, like you said, it should be a sweep. Hopefully it is, and we can go into the Blue Jays series winning 9 in a row.
Yeah.
Offense is hot, team's hot, 11 out of 12, and hopefully we can. If we win this series against the Blue Jays, like, I'm all in on this team, like 100% all in, because
Mm-hmm.
beating them in Toronto, even though it's only May at that point, like,
Mm-hmm.
this that just means this team is moving.
Yeah. So, uh, I mean, I guess, do you also want to preview the Toronto series? I feel like we'll probably do that after
Yeah,
the Royals. So yeah.
yeah, we'll
But
do it
yeah,
after
that
the
that that
Royals.
is a big series coming up. Even though it's just May, you can't really say that. But these games matter, and I think at the end you're gonna go back to these series and be like, man, really should have won these games.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, so yeah, the Blue Jays series. For some reason, I thought that was a weekend series. I really don't know why, but it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
And
I mean,
have
that's
a
gonna be
little 2-game series at home.
the next week. Yeah, that's gonna be a late podcast episode next Wednesday, because we'll record after the series is
Mm-hmm.
over. But obviously,
Mm-hmm.
that game's probably gonna end at like 11 o'clock because it's an AL East game.
What game on Wednesday against Toronto?
Yeah, it starts at 7.
No, that game starts at 12.
No, next week.
Yeah, the final game is at 12.
No, it's not. It's
12:30.
at 7 on May 4th.
Oh. Oh. I'm thinking of the Yankee game, like, that's
The
in New
next one.
York.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, all right. So yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it after the Royals
Mm-hmm.
series.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, we can start. We'll start with Miles Straw because that's relevant to the Yankees.
Hmm.
I mean, he said, "Hit me, mother effer." I like we said, it doesn't change our opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
if the stuff they were saying in that video, like the fans, is
Hmm.
as bad as it got, Miles Straw is the softest player I've ever
Yeah.
seen in a professional sport.
So if you haven't
But
seen the video, I'm I'm sure there's a reason why it starts where it starts. You're
yeah,
not gonna, but it kind of starts with Quan being down. I didn't hear anything bad at all, like in
yeah,
that thing. I
the
heard like "stay down, Quan."
yeah, that was
That
the
to
worst
me,
thing that they said.
and to me that doesn't even mean like the way I maybe I'm this is a stretch, but that doesn't to me I'm not taking that as like I'm rooting for him to be injured. That's kind of like when you're like making a bad argument, you're just like, dude, just stay down. Just like, don't make it worse for yourself. Like that's the way I took it is like don't like push it, like
Yeah,
just stay down, dude. Like I didn't take that as to mean like, dude, like get hurt. But
and
the video starts later, so we don't know
mm,
what else was said.
yeah,
But either
like
way, I don't think he should have been climbing up. And then
yeah.
now the video shows that he climbed up and was like, hit me. Like, I told you that could have started a riot. And now it's like, that just
If that
validates
fan
what I just said. Like, he
actually
should
hit
be
him,
suspended.
that would
Yeah.
have been wild. But
Yeah.
I mean, even if you take it as like, yeah, I hope you're injured, like stay down, whatever, like
Hmm.
that is a horrible thing to say, but that's not bad enough to warrant the player jumping up on the
Hmm.
fence.
Yeah.
So like I have to imagine they said something else because
Hmm.
that's such a horrible look for Miles Straw if that set
Yeah.
him off.
Hmm.
Because Kwan was like already getting up by the time the
Hmm.
video started and he was down for a decent bit, so like
Yeah.
I can't take much stock into it. The fans
Hmm.
that threw stuff on the field should still be banned for life. I
Yeah,
don't care.
that's
Like,
it doesn't I don't care what Straw said because in right
yeah,
field you're not hearing that.
yeah,
Like he could have said something even crazier. You can't you're not privy to that conversation. If you're throwing trash, you are the trash, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I think we made that clear last week, but
yeah,
if in case it wasn't clear, that's not acceptable.
yeah. And then I guess we'll move on. Speaking of telling people to hit me, Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
We'll start with the first game of that series. Nolan
Hmm.
Arenado had a throwing error that extended the
Yeah.
inning, and it would have
So
ended the game. The Cardinals would have won,
yeah.
and Nolan Arenado threw it away, which
I'm still shocked that they ruled it a hit. It was ruled
yeah,
an infield hit. So if you don't know what we're talking about, let me pull up the box score because I think they were winning by a run or maybe it was two
it was
runs.
2-0.
It was two
I'm pretty
nothing.
sure at
Okay.
that point, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And Nolan Arenado, like he took 5 steps and then threw
Hmm.
it. Like I don't
Hmm.
understand how they possibly ruled it a hit. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But the fact that he even threw it away is so uncharacteristic of him. And then the next play, Gallegos just didn't run to first base, so they got
Yeah.
an infield single because he didn't cover. Like he stood there for like
It,
a second or two
hmm.
and then ran over. Like when you're a pitcher, that has to be your first instinct. When the ball's hit
Hmm.
on the ground to the left side, you run to first base.
I don't know. To maybe he was thinking he just gave up a hit because Paul Goldschmidt made an unbelievable catch to like knock it down and be able to flip it to the pitcher. But yeah, Gallegos was slow to first base, and then he also wasn't like prepared to like turn around and check the runner. Like he caught the ball and was just like kind of
Yeah,
you know they had to point and was like home home like that's where you should be throwing, and McNeil was able to score and
yeah,
take the lead, or
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
that tied it, right?
yeah. Guy, no, that gave them the lead. They already
That did.
scored a
Okay.
run.
Oh,
Like there
okay.
were
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
people on base that at that point, I think, and I think they both scored on that.
Mhm.
If my memory serves me correctly, it could have been tied at that point. I don't quite remember. That might have actually tied it, and then the Mets did more to score some more. But like, it's that I don't care if you think it's a hit. Like your
Mhm.
first instinct
Mhm.
as a pitcher should always be
Mhm.
break to first base. If you don't need to cover, then you can stop, but you don't
Yeah.
stand there to wait to see if you need to cover.
Yeah. You kind of caught
And that's
spectating.
why. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happened is exactly why. And as much as he can, like, they can blame Nolan Arenado for have a
Mhm.
throwing error, he also could have ended the game if he
Yeah.
played his position right.
It Yep. They're like it's ruled. That's also ruled a hit, but that's a mental error.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the Mets scored a few more runs off a home run by Nito, or was it Nimmo?
I think it
It
was
was one of
Nemo.
those two.
But yeah, I don't know if you were watching the SNY broadcast, but it kind of broke. Like it went to commercial break, and then when it tuned in, like it was already a home run. Like I didn't even see the pitch thrown to the
Oh,
hitter.
I saw it. I don't know
Oh
what
really?
broadcast I was even watching. I was watching on on YouTube
You were
TV.
probably watching the home because that's the default.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was pissed because
Mhm,
like I don't dislike the Mets. I just hate Mets fans because
mhm,
they're annoying. Um, I don't really care if the Mets win, but now the Mets fans are just gonna have even more fuel
mhm.
to their fire. But yeah, so then
It,
later
it it
on,
seems like it always has to like they always get their hopes up and then they know it like it's
yeah,
gonna come
they
and it's
always
like
think
why are
this is
you
gonna be the
so
year that it doesn't happen.
yeah, it. I always liken it to a guy that's sick, and you're like, I'm gonna get better, man. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. And it's like, oh no, now you have like,
Yeah. And then later in the series, so the Mets have been hit like a ridiculous amount of times this
mhm.
year.
Alonso
And
was hit in the face.
yeah,
JD Davis was hit in the foot, and now he's on the IL. I think he's in a walking boot. So in this series they've been hit, but also throughout the
yeah.
whole year they've been getting hit.
Yeah, and they've been getting sick of it. And
Mhm,
then when Nolan Arenado was up to bat, they threw it up and in, and Nolan Arenado did not like that and
mhm,
started like talking to the pitcher
mhm,
come fight me or like something like that. And then
mhm,
it started a huge brawl.
mhm.
Pete Alonso got taken down by the one of the Cardinals
Yeah,
coaches, which was funny.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and then Pete Alonso
Gallegos
tried to
ran
act like
over.
a
Yeah, yeah.
tough guy in
But
the post game interview.
mhm. Gallegos, there was video of him jumping the
Mm-hmm.
bullpen. Like all the guys are like crowded by like the entrance, trying to like figure out how to open it, and he's just there jumping over the fence to run and have his guys back.
Yeah, and I mean that pitch wasn't up and in enough to warrant
Mm-mm.
that
Mm-mm.
response out of Arenado, but I think he knew he was like, "All right, you're doing this because we accidentally hit you, so I'm gonna get pissed
Mm.
off at you."
But Buck is kind of old school in that way. Like they've already been hit twice. It was definitely, I think it was on purpose, but it was to
Mm-hmm.
send a message, right?
Yeah,
But I don't think it was anything egregious where like it warranted uh,
it was
Arenado's reaction.
not a Aroldis Chapman, Mike Brasso level.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
Yeah,
warrants a
yeah,
reaction because Chapman throws very hard and threw it at
mm-hmm.
Brasso's head.
Yeah. You're throwing 100 miles plus. Like it was not
Yeah.
anything in close to that situation.
But yeah, and the Mets have the best record in the league. The Yankees have the second best record in the
So
league.
actually,
Oh,
just a little note to that. So there were two suspensions and then a couple of fines, but
mhm.
Arenado was suspended 2 games, and then the Cardinals reliever Cabrera was suspended 1 game. I think they're going to appeal because I'm looking at the box score and they're playing, so they probably appealed it most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait, we forgot to do our player of the series for the Yankee series.
Oh, that's right.
Mine's Rizzo. You can go second.
That was going to be my pick as well. I think that's fair to put Rizzo as you hit 3 home runs, you got it.
You got to give your own though. You can't take mine.
Can't take yours. All right, I'll do Judge. He hit an almost
Hey,
grand slam. He
two home
was
runs and a
also
birthday home
it,
run.
yeah, he was also just as hot as Rizzo. Just a little, but
All
yeah.
right. And then moving on, our last topic is the Acuna, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he was supposed to come back in a few weeks, but the fact that he's already back now ahead of schedule is just great for baseball. He's one of
Yeah.
the best young players in the league. He was going to win the NL MVP last year if he didn't get
Mm-hmm.
hurt. If you look
Mm-hmm.
at his 2021 StatCast page, it's actually ridiculous. It's like 100 or 99 for almost every one of the categories.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's not really much to say yet because he hasn't really played.
Yeah, I mean, I'm checking the box score. He's 0 for 3, struck out. So, hasn't, gone off, but, he's hitting leadoff. It's nice. He's playing right field. There were reports that he's not going to be playing every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it makes sense that they're going to have him like DH a lot of games now that they have a DH in the NL. Makes sense to just kind of preserve him. He's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be playing center field, and all that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to see him on the field because we were target they were targeting May 8th, and even then, like if you told me at the start of the season he's going to be back May 8th, I would have been like, that's kind of aggressive. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that he's playing April 28th is even crazier to me.
Yeah, but it's awesome. I'm so glad Acuna's
Mm-hmm.
back. He's one of my
Yep.
favorite non-Yankees players. He's just so good at
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Five
yep.
tool to the truest degree. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's and then okay, someone we got to talk about is Mike Trout. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mike Trout is back to being Mike Trout. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, last year he was being Mike Trout last year too, but he got hurt. But
Yeah.
it's just watching him play baseball is just so fun. He is so good.
Mm-hmm.
He has the best OPS in the league of 1256. He's hitting 352. He has how many home runs does
Five
he have?
home runs.
Five home
Five
runs,
home
which he would
runs.
have like 10 if it was juiced balls because he's hit so
It.
many like 110-mile-per-hour doubles
I
off the
think he was
wall.
robbed twice this year already.
Yeah,
So.
like but his swing is just
Mm-hmm.
like I Griffey so Griffey's swing is like the prettiest swing, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike Trout's swing might be my favorite swing of all time just because it's like it's literally perfect. It's like the perfect baseball swing. He's so quick. The swing is so fast. He can turn on anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's so compact. His leg kick isn't egregious. Like he's so good. I mean, when Mike Trout is hurt, the game of baseball is significantly suffering because there's just no one like him in the league.
Yeah, he's back to doing Mike Trout things, but I just sent you a link. I think we talked about it before, but there was like a tweet where some guy
Oh yeah.
he's hitting, and then a guy's like, works. So I don't know if you have the tweet out, but Trout is hitting, and then he hits the ball, and then there's a tweet that says, "Pitching machine swing works great when you're 8, not so much against any velocity. Work with him on keeping his hands inside the line and keeping shoulders level. Balance is key."
And then the
For
guy's
real.
like, you know that's Mike Trout, right? And he's like, did not know that. He's
But he kind of digs himself even further though. He goes, "I am. That swing gives you 1 point of contact through the zone. Personally, I'll take a high average line drive hitters over a 150 average every once in a while. Line drives into the backstream, home runs, uppercut swings are outs." He's like, "That's Trout." But I don't know.
and
Maybe Trout took this guy's advice, and that's why he's doing the things he's doing. He fixed his flaws, and now he's reached his full potential.
dude, like, I just I'm pissed about the fact that like I kind of forgot how good Mike Trout was because of how hurt he's been.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's there's no one in the league that when Mike Trout is being Mike Trout can touch him. Like Soto
Mm-hmm.
and Vladdy are probably the two next best hitters in the league, and they're not on the same level. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yep.
as elite generational elite hitters can be, but like
Mm-hmm.
Mike Trout is arguably the greatest player of all time.
So I was already. So you know that I was, doubting Trout because I was debating whether or not to even put him number one. I was like, oh, I think he kind of lost it. Like
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be good, but like he's been injured. Should I knock him for that? Put him outside? But no,
he's
he's
made us look dumb. And like
yeah.
Otani is Otani. Like
Mm-hmm.
Trout is the best player that's not Otani
Mm-hmm.
because Otani is just stupid.
Yeah, he's a cheat code. Yeah.
Yeah, but Trout's career, he is a very rare breed of having a
Mm-hmm.
career batting average of 300, like 305.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a handful of players, active players right now, that have a
Hmm.
bad career batting average over 305 that started playing after 2010. Like
Hmm.
Miggy doesn't count as much because he started playing in an era where batting average was important.
Hmm.
But like, yeah, like Vladdy does, but he's played 3 years.
Yeah,
Mike Trout has a 305 batting average, 419 OPS, a 1.004 OPS, and 419 OBP, sorry. A 1 career OPS is nuts.
that's insane. It's that's insane.
He's so good. 315 home runs, 826 RBIs, 200 stolen bases, almost 1,500 hits. Like, I'm going to miss him
And
so much when he retires.
and importantly, the Angels are in first.
Yeah,
So
the Angels are actually
he's
playing well.
he's doing well, but the team is also doing well. You know, that's kind of a knock on him. It's like, well, you know, he's not making the playoffs. I mean, we've played what 10% of the games, so you don't know, but they're off to a hot start. You know, I would love to see him in the playoffs with this expanded, postseason.
Yeah, and some other things about Trout and like the Angels in general. Like, I go to sleep and around like 10ish, 9 or 10ish, and I've been putting on whatever's on YouTube TV's MLB net
Mm-hmm.
or whatever's on MLB Network when I go to
Mm-hmm.
sleep, just whatever game it is. And I've
Mm-hmm.
gotten to watch a lot of Angels games that way this year, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch the whole thing because I fall asleep. But like, it's fun to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of the very few players in the league that like if you have the opportunity to watch his at bats, you should do it
Yeah.
because
Yep.
you could like I turned it on the other day
Mm-hmm.
and he just hits an absolute missile at 470 feet. Like that was like a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, but he's just so good. And the Millville Meteor has got to be one of the best nicknames in baseball.
I'm gonna show one of my many bobbleheads, but I can't see it
There it
right
is.
there. Yeah, it's a little MVP. So
I want to get a Trout jersey.
yeah, like he's probably no, I think he is my favorite non-Yankee.
Yeah.
Right?
It was Soto, but that's like I said before, I forgot how good and how much I love Trout because of his
Mm-hmm.
injuries.
Yeah,
But I just hope he stays healthy.
you're
And
always focused on the next
yeah,
shiny, toy, but
and
you kind of forget Trout's just excellence, how consistent he is. When he's on the field, like he is, like first ballot Hall of Famer already at this point. Like, I that's great.
and I drafted him like 13th, I think, in the second round of my fantasy draft this year.
That's insane. That's insane. That's a great value
And he was
to get.
ranked like 25th on ESPN's fantasy baseball. And I was like, there's no way he's going to drop that far. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to take
Yep.
him. And
Yeah.
that's been a crazy good value so far.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So one thing we didn't talk about is the letter, the Yankee
Oh,
letter.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it
So
was literally nothing.
it wasn't. Yeah, it was nothing. If you thought this was gonna take down the Yankees, well, it didn't. There was a lot of people like they. There was a couple tweets by some Astros fans. It was like, all right, who's gonna get suspended for a year? It's like there was nothing crazy. Everything that they released was already public knowledge. Like if you were following the story, you
Yeah.
already knew everything that was inside there. I think the only new insight was how much the Yankees got fined.
Yeah.
So
And like yes, the Yankees cheated, but it was in 2015 and 2016 when the Yankees didn't win anything and then it was
mm-hmm,
nothing compared to the Astros.
mm-hmm,
Like what they did was use the replay room to get the catcher's signs and then they would take the signs once they learned them and relay them to the runner on second to
mm-hmm.
give to the hitter.
Similar to what the Red Sox did,
Yeah.
but the
The
key,
Astro and
but
like
the
the
key distinguisher was that it happened before Manfred
yeah.
sent out that letter disallowing it.
And yeah, and then on top of that, the thing that separates us from the Astros is the Astros did it when nobody was on base. Like they could do it
Yeah.
whenever they wanted. The Yankees
Mm-hmm.
and Red Sox, you could only do it when there was a guy on second
Mm-hmm.
base.
Yeah.
And like,
So
yeah,
so if you were thinking of any conspiracy theories, you're I mean, you were very disappointed with this letter. You didn't get your smoking gun. There's nothing. No one's going down. Everything that we knew, we already knew it. So,
Yeah,
it really was a nothing story. You know.
yeah. Good old nothing burger.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else that you want to talk about?
I think we hit on everything I wanted to talk about.
All right. I guess we'll wrap it up then. As always, if you enjoy the episode, check us out on Twitter and Instagram at the Bronx Story. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Um, we've had a little spike in our viewership recently. I think that has a lot to do with baseball being back. People are starting to come back after the lockout, and that's been awesome to see. So let's keep it up. Let's keep going. We're gonna try and be a lot more consistent. Get our episodes out after every series is over. So look forward to that. Sometimes like today when the game's at 1 o'clock, like we both work full time, so we can't
Mm-hmm.
just hop on record right when the game's over like we do for the 7 o'clock games.
Mm-hmm.
But unless it's a weekend game, then we might be able to. But I just
Yeah.
started a baseball league that I'm going to be playing in that does double headers every Sunday. So even then, it might be a little later. They start at like 10 or 9 a.m. So I should be done around 5. But yeah, but either way, we'll try to get episodes out after a series is over every single time we can
Mm-hmm.
and be more active on social media. I've been live tweeting during the games. My Twitter's at PerceptRW. If you want to check that out, I have the link to the podcast in my bio as well. Jatinder is going to make a Twitter at some point. Uh,
I will. I will.
and then once he does, we'll be more active. And yeah, we'll also look forward to we're gonna live stream some games this year. Some big if there's like a big game, and we have the time to do it, we probably will. So
Mm-hmm.
look forward to that. Hey, maybe how about if we're up 2-0 in the Blue Jay series next week, going for a sweep, we can
I'm
live stream that game.
I'm down for that because
Yeah.
then that means we don't have to record late anyways because everything we would have been saying would have been said in the live stream. So I'm cool with that. If we're
Yeah, and we
going
can
for a sweep, if we're going for a sweep against the Blue Jays, yes, let's do it.
yeah, and we can obviously because the live stream will only be up on YouTube, so we can still record like a 30-minute recap episode right after for
Mm-hmm.
Spotify listeners, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to be as crazy as it usually is. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously by live streaming the game we mean it'll be like this screen with I'll put a little score bug on it, but I can't actually
Actually
stream the
show the
game.
yeah.
So yeah. So that's a deal. So if that situation happens, we'll live stream it. So situations like that where it's just a big game for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as always, we'll see you guys next time after the next series is over. And let's go Yanks.
Let's go Yankees. Let's play ball. Let's keep the winning streak going.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.